Hi, welcome to another construction update. I'm Dr. Vince Cotter, Principal, North Penn High School. Joining me today is Mr. Art Wood, our administrator for the construction manager. Art, you know, last time we were out here, there was a kind of an area laid out, but we didn't have any walls, and it looks like a great deal of progress has been made.
Well, we've really moved quickly on this addition, and we're pleased by that. As you can see, not only do we have the block walls up, but we have the finished roof on. We're weathered in. This side of the building has the finished driving plaster on it. What you see at the front entrance or the entrance to the cafeteria from the outside is the styrofoam that will then get a brown coat and a fiberglass fabric that goes over it prior to putting on the finish coat. But looking at this side of the building, the only thing we're missing at this point are windows. Of course, they're on order, and we're very pleased with the progress that we've made here. And I think as we go inside, you'll really get to see how fast we're moving in there.
The drive, it looks nice, Art. I notice over at this end that there's a huge opening at the end of the building. I guess as we go inside, we can take a look at that, but you might want to explain why there's such a huge opening.
You mean the door to the exterior?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, there's going to be a number of doors that will come out of the cafeteria, one on each end that are good size. And they'll come out onto a patio area out here, which we think will really make this cafeteria our special cafeteria. If you're doing an athletic award banquet or academic award banquet or something similar to that, the area will seat 240 students, and we'll have individual chairs with octagonal 8-sided tables that will fold up, of course, and are on wheels. So that's going to make it quite an attractive area, and something that you'll have to wrestle with as to who uses it.
Sits there.
Who has the privilege of using that cafeteria.
Well, another thing that I noticed too is that the cafeteria addition's been somewhat connected to the building.
Yeah, we initially, we're going to have a number of connecting points. And initially, we didn't think we could begin that until school was out, but with the kindness of your staff and kids, and particularly you, we have a connecting link done, which will give us another way into the cafeteria and stop that traffic jam that we have. You know, when you think about taking the capacity of the cafeteria up by 240 more kids and realizing that everyone has to enter from the other end, I think it's very positive that we were able to get this other link that will come right down past the IMC and directly into the cafeteria. So the interesting thing about that is, although we had planned on starting that June 15th on a Monday, we now have a nice jump. In fact, as we go in there, the lavatories are in, the 2 new lavatories are in, and we're finishing up masonry in there today. And we've also, at the other end, and you'll see that, where we're connecting the existing cafeteria and going into the stairwell with an emergency door. The brick is off, and all we have to do is go through the block.
Okay, why don't we take a look at the inside? Well, Art, we're inside the cafeteria, and we're taking a look at the connecting piece, which is integral that you talked about. I can see the workmen putting up the cinder block, and as you indicated, we reversed some of the bathrooms in this hallway to provide accessibility not only to our faculty, but some of our handicapped students.
Yeah, the 2 lavatories, you can't see them from here, but they're completed, and they're roughed in. The plumbing is roughed in. They'll be ready for ceramic tile. They're both ADA compliant bathrooms and will serve us well, accessible off of this corridor, doors opening in. But at the end of that area, you can see some plywood. You may be able to see some plywood in a temporary wall. When that comes down, we have in fact connected to the existing building. So that's most helpful. If you look, we talked about the door, this door, double door coming out there. There's also a double door there that goes into the courtyard. And right now, as we speak, they're putting brown coat on Drive It in the courtyard area. In a couple of days, that should be cleaned up. The masons will probably finish today or tomorrow at noontime. The other thing, if you look in the room in general, the conduit is all in for our lighting. Most of our ductwork is in. What you see, the piping you see, the black piping is rainwater meters to take the roof drains away from the building. So this room really, with the floor being poured, the scored block that you see on the walls, that gets painted.
Very nice.
That gets painted with an epoxy type paint. we wind up having a terrazzo tile floor in here and a drop ceiling, and it's a pretty simple and clean room. I mean, as you see it, is the way it will be, size-wise and as far as openness is concerned. You might want to walk up to the other end and just talk a little bit about what's happening up there.
Yeah, I think at the other end, a couple things are happening, but one of the pieces that's important, I think, up there is a school store that will be going in, probably where some of that block was taken off.
As we approach this area, this will be our connecting link to the existing cafeteria, and that will be straight ahead where that window is now. And that will be a corridor that will take you to the cafeteria area so that you can go to the serving area, pick up your meal. On my left, where the brick has been removed, that's an emergency doorway, or a doorway, not necessarily emergency doorway, but it goes in to the stair tower for VPOD. Over on our right, where you can see the brick has been removed, there's still an exhaust fan there for the dishwasher. That area becomes the school store. School store is accessible from the corridor that goes through to connect the cafeteria. There'll be a display case on each side, one for the other cafeteria, one for this cafeteria. As you know, in order to build that school store, we have to displace the dish room. The dish room will go in where the existing faculty room is, and the faculty dining room will go in where SGA and the school store is. And all of that will, including this cafeteria, will be up and running for September of '98, this coming September.
Clark, that's a nice touch, putting the school store in the cafeteria. As you know, it's not exactly in the cafeteria at the moment. Now students in the cafeteria won't really have to leave the cafeteria to access the school store. They'll be open during lunch hours, which is a really, really nice feature. And I like it where it's located with the showcases on both sides. I know over here, where you talked about the doorway entrance here, you had to move a number of things. And one was a heating unit down at the base here. Is that correct?
Yeah, we had to move a small wall heating unit, which is just sill type heat, and cap that off. And then we also have in there, facing the corridor, an electrical outlet that has to be moved before we can do the demolition.
Well, it looks like work's moving along here very quickly, and it looks like we're going to meet that completion date of September '98 without any difficulty.
I think I think we have good lead time. Our tables and chairs were ordered on Friday, so we opened bids and awarded them on Thursday night. So we should be well in advance of any crisis kind of cleaning or preparation of this area.
All right, thanks. All right, we're in the front of the cafeteria by the bus drop-off and pickup area, and we notice a lot of trenching and some drilling of holes in this area. What's that all about? What's going on there?
Well, from the very back where you see the auger working now, up here, all the way out to Valley Forge Road, all of our street lighting will be new. And they want to get a jump on this because there's going to be a period of time with Valley Forge Road entrance closed, and we're not going to have lighting out front. But they are going to light this driveway, and we'll have lighting in the back. So I kind of asked them if they would start here, and each of these augered holes that you see will be a new standard or base for a new light standard.
Okay. Looks like they have the wiring here. Is that?
No, that's the old wiring
the old
that
wiring.
they hit, unfortunately.
Some of the old wiring
New
there.
wiring comes up through here. There's a conduit, right, Sam? There's two conduits.
Okay. So the actual roadway is going to be extended over.
The roadway is going to be wide.
So there's going to be a lot more room, I guess, in
A lot
terms
more
of...
room in the bus area, the bus loading and pickup area. And we've also attempted to keep, and it won't change our lighting patterns, but we're going to keep our light standard 6 feet off the roadway.
With the widening of the road, will it still necessitate 2 waves of transportation, or will we be able to just do 1 way?
We'll need to do 2.
We'll still need
We'll never have enough vehicles to do it.
Okay. All right, we're outside of CPOD at the moment, near the Arboretum, and as I look around here, there seems to be a lot taking place. I see something cut through. It looks like a road. I see some additional maybe parking being surveyed, and of course in the distance I see a new field. You want to tell us about those
Yeah,
things?
interestingly enough, the the grading that was done to build a new hockey lacrosse field up at the 4-H is completed, and it is seeded, and as you can see, covered with quite a nice growth of grass. So we're very pleased with our jump on that field, that playing field. As you come back down here, this excavation, that pile of course has to be moved. The pile up there is topsoil, but this is fill and cut, and it has to be moved, but it gives you some perspective of how big the parking lot's going to be, because the parking lot goes all the way over to the woods and goes out beyond that temporary pole you see down there. The spur road is a road that should serve us well when we have buses going out in the afternoon, for an example. They will leave the bus loading area back here and come straight out, go out the spur road without having to make a 90-degree turn and then a second 90-degree turn. So we think that will work well for us. I mean, we'll have to take time in September to see what traffic patterns we want to employ initially, and after we decide how that ought to work, I think it's going to be beneficial for everybody.
You know, Art, I also notice over here that looks like we surveyed an area to widen this path, the connecting road past the 4-H property to Snyder Road. Is that correct?
Right. We're going to have a 10-foot wide walking trail or path that will leave this property and go to Snyder Road.
Well, and has that 4-H property been designated for anything at this point? Or?
Well, it would appear, and it would appear that we have the support of the school board to make it storage and central warehousing, and move the MISE program there ultimately so that we can distribute all the science supplies to the elementary students from that facility.
I think the young man who gets that parking spot by those trees gets a prize. What do you think?
I think so too. Probably gets sap on his tree or his car in the spring.
The person's going to have a hike in the morning.
Yeah, that's a hike. That's a hike. Of course, the far end near the tennis courts
Is a hike.
is
now.
a hike also.
Well, we're going to walk into the main part of the project, which is the main addition, and take a look at progress there. Art, we're in front of the building right now, the 600 student addition to the main building. And last time we were here, if I recall, we just basically had the outline of with the foundation concrete in at that point in time. But it looks like now some progress is really being made in terms of flooring and other installations. Can you update us on that?
Yeah, we had anticipated steel in mid-May initially, and there's been a slight delay, which usually happens with steel. And now beginning next week, steel will be delivered to the site, and on Monday, June 8th, we expect to begin erection. The initial plan was to set steel and then come back and pour the floors, the concrete slab, on grade. But we just reversed the process. We're going to have those all poured. And what we've done, you can see we've graded around the outside of the building, because the crane will actually set steel from outside of the footprint of the building. He'll work up and down there, and you know, with your help and assistance, we're going to pull the trucks up on the outside of the fence. We're going to have people there from a safety standpoint and just unload and set the steel. But it would appear now, the way things are going, and we'll walk up and look at it, this is a major pour they're doing today. As we look right down through here, that's your corridor, and that's pretty well defined with piping on each side. The nice thing is we have all of our underground piping in. Conduit is almost completed. And you know, that's just a good feeling, and a lot of work that doesn't mean much to the average person, because it's all covered over and underground, but it's an important piece in getting out of the ground.
Well, certainly I've heard that when it comes on the roof, when the steel's been erected, the project really takes off and moves along. That surprisingly, a lot of people say you spend a lot of time in the ground, which we did, and certainly that infrastructure is very, very important. It's going to be exciting to see the steel arrive, and what's interesting as you were talking about it is, again, the parking lot design worked, because we have plenty of room between the initial lot where the first row of cars are located and where the steel will be actually coming in and lined up and being taken off the trucks.
We're going to really unload when there's no student activity out there. I mean, we're going to wait in the morning and quit, but it's going to be our easiest method for getting steel off of the trailers. Instead of trying to pull them in through here, we'll line them up in a row, lift the steel off, and we'll have an area where we can shake it out and determine where it goes. I think that the whole concept of not having to take a crane in the building, going down each side and around the back side, really helps us a lot, and I think it will make for a good situation when it comes time to erect steel.
How long a period do you envision it taking to erect the steel?
We're probably going to be total. See, the one thing is one day the erectors will erect, then the next day they come back to detail. And the detail is squaring and bolting and finish bolting and pulling everything square with cables. We're probably going to be 6 weeks in doing the steel. And the other thing I explained to Bob earlier as we were chatting, that from a safety standpoint, on a 3-story building, when we get to the 2nd-story floor, we'll put that floor deck down so that we either have to net the building in case of a fall or have the deck down. And it's our preference to put the deck down.
Well, noticing the cafeteria, how it was done, apparently they put the steel in, they bolt the steel, and then they come in later, weld the steel together and weld the joints.
It's called detailing.
Detailing, right. Okay. And behind us is a chiller. It looks like last time we were here it was outlined, and they were moving some equipment into it, certainly, and now it looks like we have the brick to do the outside.
Yep, the block is up for the chiller tower, and the brick will begin. You can see the brick ties sticking out of the block, which ties the brick to the block. And you can see what we refer to as a brick shelf that you pour, and that's always below grade so you don't see an exposed foundation. But that bricking will probably start tomorrow.
Looks good. Looks like it's moving along very quickly, and I can see some other brick being delivered and stored in the background, and I'm sure that's just a minor shipment of the brick that it's going to take to do a 3-story building.
You have quite a pile over there and a pile here. Our brick comes in by rail cars, and then it's trucked to the site, and we're going to have more rail cars than you want to think about to have enough brick for this main 3-story building. But it's typical of any brick. No one ever has on hand the exact same color brick to do a building of this size. So you always pick your brick, and they make it, and there's no additional charge, but it's a custom brick. And when they come in, as I said, they're shipped rail car, and then they go back, or they come out here by truck.
Well, looking at one of the bricks, it looks like it's a nice contrast to the current addition.
Yeah, we tried to pick, and the architect worked hard on this. We have some dark bricks in our multicolored brick, and we picked the dark color and matched it. And the interesting thing, most people don't realize, in an attempt to reduce the cost, brick construction is not cheap, but we use a jumbo brick, and you can see the size of the brick compared to a regular brick. So that when a guy lays, 200 brick, it's 200 jumbo, and it would take many more if they were standard brick.
I have a real appreciation for that. I laid about 1,100 bricks one summer, and my back was killing me when I was done. I can't imagine what it's like to do that every day.
It's tough. But I think once we start masonry and brickwork here, our subcontractor, who is an outstanding masonry contractor, is talking about putting 45 people here. So, brick will move with 45 people.
Well, it looks like things are moving along, and I can't be more pleased because it's been very non-disruptive of the school.
Well, and you folks have cooperated tremendously, and it's a tribute to our young people, the students. They've had some opportunity to be inconvenienced. They've had a further walk to a temporary parking lot. They've had some noise occasionally, not much, but we're really pleased that we've had such cooperation, and it's just going to make the project a great success. Bob, while we're here, you might want to just look up at the auditorium roof. Concurrent, and we're so pleased that we were able to get this done, concurrent with everything else that's going on, we're re-roofing the existing high school. And right now, as we speak, APOD is finished, and most people don't know it happened. It wasn't that disruptive. We're doing the auditorium, and if you look down to my far right, you'll see covered material on the gym roof. We're going to jump to the gym roof next. So it's nice with a roof this size. This is a big roof. And most roofing contractors, we were really concerned about how many people could bid it. Turned out that there were quite a few that could bid it, but it really, you really have to dedicate staff to it. And by allowing them to get this jump with the weather we've had, they come to work at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and work until dark. And Dr. Cotter has arranged that entire thing, and it's really, it's been beneficial. You can see they're doing minor things in the daytime. There's a man up there now, well, he's kneeling up there, and it's going to really help the whole process.
Well, I'm pretty amazed. I've seen some of these guys on the roof from like sun up to sundown, and for those that have worked on a roof, we know how hot it can get. And certainly I have nothing but admiration for the people that are working out here. They've been doing a great job. I guess we're not going to disrupt anything out here at the moment, so I like for...
If you want to walk in the footprint, we can certainly go up and see what the progress is on the Audion and areas like that.
We're inside the addition at the moment, and certainly there's been a lot of concrete work that's been done in here, and it seems to be continuing. Looks like there's some major pours going on today, and it's going to be working on both ends. Seems like they're working over here.
You can see off to the right there, that'll be the connecting corridor that goes into the existing building. The area right along here behind that back pile of block will be 10 exterior doors that come out into an area for intermissions and time when you're coming out of the existing auditorium. And if you look all the way down there, we might want to just walk up closer to that. You'll get to see the Audion. The health suite is right ahead of us, as you can imagine, for sound. And this is the back of the auditorium. This happens to be the sound booth right here with all these stuff coming up. But you really get an appreciation for the room itself, the sloped seating. That is the stage ahead of us. And we have a concrete poured down below. They'll be getting ready to pour the stage very soon. And then, of course, the sloped area coming back to here. Actually, right about where we're standing here is the entrance to the Audion.
You can really see it unfolding here, the grade down to the stage area and the performing area, certainly the nurses area and the entrance to the building. It's all really starting to come together.
The main entrance comes out here, and that main entrance we'll be pouring that too. You know, we want to get that poured just as soon as we can. But there's not a lot to pour yet. If we have the right kind of weather, you know, we had those 12 days in a row of rain, and they were a little bit tough. But right now we're pretty pleased with the way we can proceed without fighting the weather, and even on a day like today where there's uncertainty. But we have a clean forecast through to Friday, and that'll allow us. The biggest thing is the preparation. You have to get ready for the pour. And as we walk up here, you'll see some preparation going on for the next pour.
I really like the change in elevation. The addition is going to sit up substantially from the parking lot. So you're going to be able to look out over the cars and get a clear view from an elevated area as to who's in the parking lot, who's not there, and it's actually a security thing almost.
I think it's a tribute to Breslin, and the other thing that they didn't want to do that we could have done, but we're not big on ramps, and to continue the grade from the main entrance out through this building and be on grade with the way the property dropped, we had to have prominence of the building out in the front. And of course that'll be graded and planted, and once it's finished it'll be very attractive. So we're not concerned about the fact that we did have to bring the front of the building up considerably to meet the floor level in the existing building.
I think it's pretty neat though in terms of security, because you can actually stand out here at different locations to be able to survey the actual parking lot, which is something we haven't been able to do up to this point.
From your office?
From my office, from the second floor, from anywhere in the building, you can actually strategically survey what's happening in the parking lot. I think that's a good thing. All right, well, seems like things are moving along, and we've had good weather, fortunately, and hopefully we'll continue to have good weather as we move toward graduation. That's always a nightmare for me, trying to determine what the weather's going to be, but I feel pleased with the weather and the addition and how things are moving.
Well,
This is Dr. Vince Cotter coming to you from the addition, along with Mr. Art Wood, our construction administrator.
I
of
would
the
just
project.
again like to thank staff, parents, our students, and the administration for the cooperation we've had with this project. And it has not gone unnoticed, and some of my colleagues just can't believe we've been able to do some of the things we've done with the least amount of distraction. So we're happy about that.
I can see you're a man that goes to every length to get the job done, and even as you stand there in the water.
That's right.
All right, and this is Dr. Vince Cotter, principal again in North Penn High School, thanking you for joining us today.
Music is a way of learning, integrating all disciplines of education, creating a learning environment where children want to learn. Music is an important part of the classroom curriculum. Children experience history and world cultures as they listen to and perform music of other times and places.
What music means to me is to get a better education, making the sounds of the music and playing the notes.
Education in the arts promotes higher level thinking skills by fostering creativity, imagination, self-discipline, teamwork, and self-esteem. Involvement in a music program leads to higher SAT scores.
The music program at North Penn has provided me with the skills I need to either pursue a career in music or even a hobby. I know that the North Penn music program will have provided me with the skills that I need to do so.
Music instills a sense of cultural identity and pride in our children. Music is the beat of education.